In the first part of this video, I'll show you how to effortlessly create unlimited products. This isn't about randomly adding AI-generated products that just clutter the market. My focus is on a proven method to elevate your dropshipping game. Imagine browsing Pinterest, liking an image, and having a similar product automatically generated and ready for sale on phone cases, t-shirts, hoodies, and more, all without crafting your own prompts. I'll guide you through leveraging Pinterest for inspiration, using Airtable to manage your products and data, employing automation tools for seamless workflows, creating products automatically for platforms like Shopify, Wix, and Etsy, and post that later on also on all your social channels. Whether you're just starting or looking to enhance your current strategy, this guide will provide valuable insights and practical steps to elevate your dropshipping business. This comprehensive system is designed to streamline your dropshipping efforts, especially if you already have a community. In the second part, I'll dive deep into how I monetize these products. My channel focuses on creating framework for content creators, enabling us to use our communities to generate and sell products. Now, let's discuss the workflow here based in our Miro board. So the very first thing we have to do is post inside of Pinterest. That creates a record inside of Airtable. With an image analyzer, we extract the style of the image that we further develop with another prompt and creating a product, but also we store it in a database where we reference that later on. So when we create a new product, this is basically not the end, but the starting point. This new product gives us a perspective on how this new style applies in terms of a new product. The whole idea, though, doesn't end here. The next step we are doing is asking our artists who we have collaborate with if they are interested in another collaboration. So we're gonna send them a fill out form where they can select the style that has been generated before. We ask them specific questions, basically if they are interested, and based on that we then create a product that are assigned or attached to the specific artist. Then we're gonna ask them if they are interested in joining an affiliate program where we basically share also revenues. If they are not interested, but let's just say they would just want to create the product, but they are not interested in affiliate marketing, then that's fine. So we share it anyway then inside of Wix. But if they are, we share our condition automatically and share also the conditions there. So we share everything onto Wix, Etsy, and TikTok. Now, we, of course, need to share all those emails to them automatically and have to share those things into our community, mainly on Facebook. We share it also through newsletter. So this is basically the big overview. Now, this is a quite simple and small project here, but everything actually starts with a database. So to visualize it, I always suggest using something like this here. You can, of course, use whatever you like. This just helps us to visualize what table we need. So we have a database here basically containing, as of now, 4 tables. Here we have new created products. That's like the main table. But then we store the image styles. As we remember, we store them here that we can then reference if an artist is basically creating a new product. So how does it work? In this form, they have to select what style do they want, but then also they have to select, and there we can adjust it basically to the questions we then give them. Now, when it comes to just creating the product, we can of course skip this part here and only those tables would be fine. But since we want to automate specific things for our use case here, we have to include this base and the product base itself. This step here isn't necessary, although I find it really helpful. Now, in this product catalog, we basically store our webhook links. That means we just have to select the products we want, and a webhook trigger sends basically the automation trigger to make the com, and the product for lines will be created. This is the basic structure, and I would always recommend to write all prompts down. As of now, like every prompt that has been created is so basic that I didn't write them down, but the SKUs SKU prompt is a bit more complex. So all the complex prompts, I write them down here so that we have like a unified SKU. So we start from here, and actually I have started already before brainstorming a little bit. So I started in creating the base already, but we will continue from here. So here we have our base, and here we have our mirror board. This really helps us to visualize if certain things are missing and how we can then build and reference based on those charts. And we can also, of course, draw connections, how those tables are connected with each other. But in our purpose, this should be fine. So what we need here is the name of the product. So we have created so far like those test products. Everything was working fine. Now here we have the name, we have the description, we have an attachment field where we attach basically all our products here. And then we have original file that has to be adapted a little bit so that we can install basically the image itself without any products. So it's the idea. I have to adjust this one, which we will do together here. And then we have a field which we can hide for now, or we just move it. It's like a done field. And we want to capture the prompt that has been used. We can, of course, then integrate the value here that this product should cost. For now, we can just use dummy data. We need a created field and a last modified, although in our purpose, we do not need to see them. So let's hide those fields for now. And as I've mentioned, we need an S. So here is already the prompt. For now, we leave it on. And what else do we need? A number. This is missing. So let's just create a number here. And now what I want is basically to connect the generated SKU with the number through a formula. So the idea here is that we have for each product a unique SKU, and that is generated by the prompt. Here is the example. We need like the category in first place. Where does like the prompt know on how to find a category is by reading the description, which we're gonna use as our input. And by reading the description, it should create a category, a brand, if brand is needed. In our case, actually, we can just skip this part. And also in terms of the size, that part probably we can skip as well. But then we have a code that looks like this here. Again, probably the brand and the size will not need, but let's leave it for now. We have the number. And the next thing we need to do here is to create a formula. Again, by utilizing AI, we just need to type in here basically like ID. So that's auto number here. And SKU, and then let's just switch this one here. Let's put that into the front. So as of now, it's looking, of course, because those fields are empty. Let's just copy like a dummy SKU here. And it should have the number then attached. Now, of course, we can then adjust it always here by implementing something, whatever we like space. Now this looks fine. Again, like we can just adjust this one later on. So now we have created the table, which is fine for now. And when we go to image style, I just called it mood board. Let's just rename this one here. Again, like I've tested that already before I actually created the mirror board. So here we have the title, we have the thumbnail, the long description, keywords, category. And if the image is done, I have used a formula here that is basically saying, look at the image URL and look at the URI we are sending, basically using an app, which we can discuss later on. If it's still not done within the next 5 minutes, then it should write. So here, if it's done, it should write done. Otherwise, it should write get, because then we can trigger an automation to get the response, or to let the AI get the response one more time. Now we have here like the adjustments we would like to do. So I just created a really simple formula where we can just add like the informations we would like to add in the new prompt. This one will be replaced, and here we have the new prompt, which is generated through a script, also here inside of Airtable, but we'll look into those in a bit. Let's just create a new table here for products. So we have the product name, and then we need an attachment field, and let's name it product image. And now we need the webhook. Now let's go through the automation. So let's have a look into what scripts do we have here and how we use them here. Unfortunately, I cannot open the original scripts here, but what I've done is something that's making the explanation a little bit easier. The very first script that contains basically two scripts in one automation. And if this is here the idea, so we send through this trigger that when we have the image URL, or when if it's not empty, then it should run the script. And I have included in the mirror board here all the PDFs that explains basically every step of the script. And believe me, I'm not a coder myself, but if I can do it, utilizing basically ChatGPT and asking just to improve and enhance it, then you can do that as well. But this here is looking quite long. Why? Because there are explanations here. Now, if you use this, you probably do not need those explanations, so you can just paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to modify it to your needs. Now, even with the help of ChatGPT and like asking some certain people who are more familiar with coding, to create a script isn't always easy. ChatGPT makes it way easier, even for those who know how to code and have great skills there. But certain things are, especially like when using a, not always working as planned. So just to explain this one, because that's the most important script probably here. So I think the others are quite straightforward. I'm just explaining this here more in detail. So we need the configuration, and we use this app here to analyze the images. So let's just go to the app, and what they do here is just offering an API service basically here. So it's literally just for people, not like the normal consumer, but people who are utilizing their API portal. And they have already a clear documentation here, which you can read. It's straightforward. You have to select basically a model you want to use, which features you want to use, and so on. So here in the script, what we need to do is, of course, we have to paste our API key. Again, like I cannot show it here, but it's similar without the explanations here. I just asked ChatGPT to include all the explanation here, and then you need to adjust it, of course, replace your table name. So what we need here is the record ID coming from this record here. So when we go to the script, we have to make sure to attach the record ID. We have to select our table name. So in our case, moodboard, and then basically we have to select the model here. So here, that's what we have to select here, backend, the model, and then the feature we want. So in our case, a description, but not any kind of description. We want basically a JSON description, because we can then utilize the AI in just one run instead of splitting it into multiple runs, or maybe utilizing different kind of AI. So the way JSON is working is basically you just ask it, and here's the prompt, which again, like is included in the mirror board. And we need then is to exclude everything. But the problem is like the AI is not always giving a constant and result that is stable, because sometimes it's doing what it wants, and that creates certain problems like that needs like verification. That's why this JSON format looks super weird. What I've done is basically to, instead of like quotation marks, that's how you usually use it, I included those here to separate basically every single item I want from this quote. So what I'm saying here is basically act as an analyst or critic and just describe the style here, focus on the style mainly, and then some rules on how the JSON format should look like, and then the extraction basically. So that is the overall explanation here. And yeah, so you can just read the details here. And the next thing is, of course, to separate and to phrase the results into those little segments. Now, how does it look like? I have hide this field for now. Here we have the visions result. This is like how it's looking like. This is the original. Again, like those were from before, but then it was doing a terrible job in phrasing it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes not, and that was not consistent at all. But since I have used this format, it's working quite well. So here, this is how it's looking. So we have title, and now here inside we have the title and then the long description. And what it's doing is basically it's taking those information and and now paste them inside here, this field. So title goes here, long description goes there, keyword down here goes here, and category. So of course you can enhance and adjust the prompt as however you like it, but that again saves us quite a lot if we would do that like really on a bigger scale. So I would always recommend to use any kind of JSON format. It applies of course to your workflow. So yeah, that's like the script here. The other scripts are quite straightforward. The model we use to generate those new prompts here based on the style is through another service called Striko. So let's go to Striko. I'll add all the services in the description. What they have is a quite good pricing model here. And the best thing is you just need one API and you do not need to change the model. So let's just say T or OpenAI is updating their newest model. I can stick with Striko. I do not need to change like for Claude or whatever. They have so many models here inside, and this is really easy to use their system. And they have also quite simple API documentation. So what we are doing is send basically only the style in combination. So let's just look at the prompt here. Here inside we have really simple prompt, but actually it's working quite good. I'm not even giving it a role because it's doing it already quite good here. So please modify it based on the long description. So here is the input, long description, and the adjustment. So in my case, again, like a simple adjustment. Later on, we'll exchange that to the form that the artists are getting. So that's basically the prompt. And then it's generating a new prompt close enough to the original, but with our newly adjusted enhancement here. So this is basically everything you need if you do not want to continue building the artists table. And if you just have a theme, let's just say you would like to create a page like this here, which is a theme page. All of those products are also dropshipping products, quite similar to what we can do here. They all follow just one theme here, as we can tell. And that's basically what we can then input in our theme prompt. Again, like this is something I will not use, but if you're just interested in copying basically the Pinterest products with your own theme, then you can just play around with this one and play around with the prompt to get the best results for you. That needs to be modified, of course, based on your needs. So the next thing, of course, is creating the products themselves. And to be honest, that's really simple, but of course it takes some time to adjust all the small little details. And there is this nice app here that provides already those templates, which are really inexpensive, and they also have this lifetime deal, which I've purchased. So it's nothing complicated what they have done, but it takes a lot of time. So now you have the choice. Should I do it on my own, everything, or should I just go here, check out, they have inexpensive pricing, which is a no-brainer. If you want to automate certain things and you do not want to spend like now basically creating all your themes on your own, check out, maybe those are helpful, but let's just go here inside and go from using this template than what they provide already. What they have is basically a range of different product types that you can choose, and then you just have to connect it to your OpenAI account or to your other services. So it's like an extension of MakeCom, that they are basically selling those templates which you can have, and you do not need any MakeCom subscription. So for those who do not have any MakeCom account, maybe this is something great. Again, like the prices are really inexpensive, and what makes it good is really the time you save. So you do not have to configure all those Pinterest products. Again, everything else needs to be adjusted, but in terms just for the Pinterest product itself, not even the prompt, not even like description, but the product itself, that alone, I say, it is already worth it to purchase this one if you are interested in dropshipping. I connected already here certain products. Again, like I want those products to be reflected on my base so that I just have to select the product, and the webhook will trigger the automation based on my selected product. So this is basically how it's looking out of the batch. So let's just open this one. It has no adjustment yet. And again, like this part here, probably everyone can just replace with whatever they like. Why I thought this is a great investment is this part. Again, nothing complicated. So what they are doing here, again, is just certain things, uploading images and so on. But what takes a lot of time is if you are creating the product with the right positions. So for that, you have to dig deep and you have to look around, you have to play around. So that obviously takes a lot of time. And again, like I'm not promoting them, I'm just saying this saves time, but this is also something quite easy to do. So you can just do it on yourself. If you have time and you do not want to spend money, then do it on your own. So here is a typical automation, but what we want now is to go and enhance that a little bit so that we can utilize our own workflow in the way that we want it to be. What we want is a webhook, and every automation should contain a webhook. One thing which I would like to replace also here are those two models, because we are using Striko instead of like OpenAI, which is cheaper for me. So we are replacing those. What we are also doing is we duplicate the product, because I have another Printify shop which is connected to Wix. So that's something we will do. And also we will update Airtable so that a new record inside of Airtable will be also created. Plus, we might also integrate Airtable here inside so that not every product needs to be prompted. What I mean with that is like the way how it's working now is like the webhook is sending the information, and let's just go to this other product here. I use phone case probably as my main like creation source, and the way it's doing is like the webhook is sending the prompt. I do not have the prompt here, but it's coming from the webhook. And later on, we utilize the form from those artists that creates those images. So how do we connect a webhook? Again, like I will delete this webhook. I just use it as a dummy webhook so that those data are secured basically. So here I just have to press plus and create a webhook. For those who do not know what a webhook is, it's sending basically when we configure our automation inside of Airtable, a signal or something that makes this automation run. So it's basically just saying, hey, you can run now. The reason we need a webhook, for example, in Zapier or in Active Pieces, we do not really need a webhook most of the time because the actions there are always instant, or most of the time. But here, Make is working a little bit different. They are working most of the time with a timer, and that consumes a lot of credits. Let's just say you are not using this automation for specific time. That would consume every hour, or depending on your timer, credits. So in order to avoid that and to also be faster, because you want the results immediately or as soon as possible, you want to create a webhook. So here you just have to select the webhook, and all you need is this little link here, which you can then copy inside your script, and you are basically ready to go. But of course, we do not want to create like 5 million scripts because we have 5 million different products we would like to choose from. So therefore, we need this webhook, and we need to put it into our Airtable base. So here we have the product, and let's just say inside we have then our webhook. And later on, we can then choose the product. The product itself contains then the webhook, which we can then send to the script. So now we have this variable where we can just send, depending on the webhook, the trigger. How does it look like? Let's just visualize it here. This is only for those who do not know what to do or do not understand webhook. We have here the choice, basically. We have the product, and based on what product we select, it triggers then to those webhooks. And every webhook has an own automation. Webhook 1, and let's just assume we have multiple webhooks, and it's depending on our choices. It depends then the triggers. So webhook 1, 2, and 3, for example. But I think that will be more clear when we build that out in a bit. Let's just select all the products we want so that we can just copy the name here of each product for now. And we just do a simple screenshot. So yeah, copy. Oh, I think I have duplicate here, but it's fine. Let's just do this one and all the other products. The idea is that, again, we use the phone as the main image, this one here, and then we use the same image and apply it to all the other products so that we do not have to create all those new images based on a new prompt. So here we have the phone case. Now let's do the phone case with text, like a slightly variant here. And let's do this one here, slides and spiral notebook, unisex. The last for now, hoodie. We have to create all the webhooks, create a webhook, give it the same name, create a webhook. So it's also easier later on to find. And I have to pause here, repetitive work, but let's just continue. And here we go. We have all the webhooks. Now let's just create product images and let's turn those webhooks already on. For that, we can just go to their page here and select the images here. So this one. Let's hide the webhooks for now here and let's continue by creating images here. So what else do we have? Phone case, but with logo. Those one here, slides. Penny pack. I think things that requires like really leggings sizes are too complicated for us, at least. Do not want to return any products, so let's just skip those products because we have a 0 return policy then. Now we have all the products, so it's easier for us to select because sometimes we might forget like what product or how it could potentially look like. This is great. Now let's continue inside of the automation. So what we need now is to adjust here, and let's go to our original prompt that we use as our main like source of truth, basically this one here. So what we need here is first of all to replace those ones here. What we need basically is Striko, but unfortunately inside of this make exception there is no Striko. We could use an TP call or we use the script inside of Airtable. That's basically how we could also approach it, and then we would get the information as well. But we could also do it inside of Airtable directly so that the titles actually are already generated inside of Airtable. So since we are not using this here like on a really high extent, that should be totally fine. So we'll leave it as it is. We will not change those into Striko. I think it will not be worth it, especially like only if the output is that small. It can just take and go to my OpenAI. It's more cost efficient, just saving this time. The next thing we want again is the phone case, and we want here is to generate the image because this will be the trigger for the other products. So we have to leave this one here, and inside of Airtable what we have to capture now is the original image. This one here is not correct, so what we want is to get the image here based off the URL and the file name. We can just use the file name here from the title itself. So what do we have here? We have the webhook that is triggered by the action, which we will change later on with the artists. Like every time they fill out a form, then this will be generated automatically. It then generates an image. It generates a title, which we have to change. This is the default setting based off of this template here. We're gonna change this one here and change the content according to our user input from the artists. We want definitely the artist's name to be included in the title, but we're gonna leave it for now. We have to first build the prompt and then we're gonna change those ones. So then we get the logo file. This is fine. We upload the logo, we upload the AI image, we create the product, we create a record inside of Airtable, and we publish the product. So here inside of Printify, we have our test product so far, and we have here basically two shops. Again, this first shop is just for publishing purpose, to just test the product, to just see if they look okay or good enough. And then later on, we of course have connected that to our Wix page so that the product are automatically created inside of our Wix page. What we need to do, we want to publish it on the Wix side as well. So here we publish it, and then we need just to duplicate it, or let's just do it here. So let's just clone this one, and let's just change the shop ID, but not to this one, but to the other one. So the webhook should work, but we will test that later on. For now, what we have to do is connect now this base here, and here we can then link it to the product page. And here we can then select basically the product that could be then used as a webhook trigger. So that means, like, let's just say the artist is happy with this product, and we could just create a field that could be used as the webhook trigger. Let's just call it trigger. Now, after choosing the product, the idea is like when we hit this button here, it should then send the webhook to the other products. So what we want now is to create an automation that looks like this here. Here we can select whatever trigger. So for example, the trigger for the other products is yes. Then it finds the product. For example, here, new product has any of record ID, just in case we want only those products that we have selected. But if we, for example, just want every product, then we of course do not need any filter here. So what we can then do instead is just select the view instead of any condition. But of course we need then to repeat that basically for every single webhook. That means we have to repeat it here inside. And as we can see, it creates an input list so that it's doing the runs 4 times. Now let's just adjust the script. Let's write a little script here. For that, again, we can just use ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT, like, can you help me to work on the script? And yeah, let's do that, and I'll come back in a second. So let's just open this simplified explanation here. Now this might be a little bit confusing because the information we are sending to Wonder, to this image generation or to the product generation, is coming from this table, but the webhooks themselves are coming from the automation. Why are we doing it? Because we want every webhook to be sent separate as an individual webhook. So that means, like, here inside, again, we get the list of records one by one. So I just tested it with one record, and of course it sent it to this one record. Besides that, what I'm sending as well are the following information here: the product image, the product name, and the product description. Later on, I'll add something else there. The reason why I send this information is that we do not need to create, again, like another prompt, another image generation, because we have already, which we can then use to further develop our product creation. So here what happened was it generated a completely new image, but my test record had this image. The reason is when we go here inside, the problem is that we see that this model here is still connected. What we want now is we can check the webhook here and see basically what information did we receive. As I've mentioned before, we have the image, we have the name, the test record, and we have the description, test record. Now I can skip this part, like the image generation part. Let's just delete this one because we do not want to create a new image. Instead, we just want this image to be like uploaded directly here. So here we want to use the image URL coming from this image attachment. The AI is asking, where is the prompt now? Now for that, we can just replace it with the description. So we already have the description. I'll replace that one later on with the questionnaire coming from the artists. But for this purpose, this is fine enough. Now we have the file, we have the image, and then we create a record afterwards. Of course, it's asking now for the image, the URL here. What we want is the original image, which is this one. The title can stay the same. We do not need the prompt anymore. That's not relevant. And I think everything else will be the same. So let's just test this one here for now. go to the database here and let's test this other record here one more time. Let's just give it another description. So instead of test record, let's just use this description from above. So what's happening is, and every time I press this trigger, it should run. And now let's just try it out. Let's see if it's actually doing also the magic here. So we have the image, the description, and now let's turn the trigger on and let's see if the automation is working. So that takes a couple of seconds. So it's running now. Here we go. Perfect. We have created this new product based on this image here. So we do not need to create a new image. This is the image we have created from the prompt before. And now we have those slides with this image. Not the perfect example. It's not really working with this image, but I think we get the point here. Probably this image will be better on hoodies and other items, but we can then deselect that basically on our product shop where we can just like unpublish those ones or delete them. But I think it's easier that way. Now let's do the test one more time, but let's try to add 2 products instead. So we do the same thing. Now we go here, save changes, and let's go to long shorts. So what we need to do is we want to copy this Airtable record. So we copy this one here. So we paste this one and we put this in between. And now we have to connect it with our base. So the problem is when you are running the webhook for the first time, it's asking for the information that you do not have yet. So in this case, let's just create a dummy record again. So I hope that's not confusing, but let's just get here. And that probably will not work. And here the same thing. And we can delete this record. And if it's doing like a mistake, it's totally fine. So what we are doing now, we just want to receive the data to check if the automation is actually running. So which one was it again? Athletic long shorts. So let's just select all the other products so that it's like running, but then we can adjust it later on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is something we do not need. 5. This one we already had. 6. Later on, we actually can also say, just take every product and exclude the phone case, because that's something we already have. Now let's run the webhook. And again, if it's failing, it's fine. But then we all have the information that we actually can use. So now it's sending probably all the webhooks one by one. It's not coming, but it's already creating images. So I guess we just selected, the wrong athletic long shorts. Let's just delete this one. So that one can be deleted here. So I'm gonna force stop this one here. And let's just make sure this is the wrong one. Delete. Okay, changes, and let's delete this one here because that was the wrong one. Here you can see already the next products. Again, like those has been generated based on a prompt. That was the old way. So I'll pause and come back once everything is done. It's not done yet, but let's just go and connect the right products. We can see that has been created twice. So let's just use one of this one here because again, we just need this information here. Unfortunately, I'm not able to retrieve the old information because I just run it all. And in order to make our lives easier also for later on, what we can do is just add an Airtable get so that we get the webhook information. And that consumes 1 credit more here, but should we change something later on, that will make everything easier. Again, like we can just solve it also through the webhook, but since I have plans to change certain items, I do not want to spend 8-9 times doing the same thing over and over again. So here's how we can do that. So we go to our base and just select whatever product here. I would recommend to do just this product and deconnecting basically everything else so that we retrieve the webhook only from this product here and we cut everything else afterwards. So now what we want is just select a dummy product again here. Let's just use this one. We can delete the rest tabs. We do not need those. Let's just use this one here, the last one. And let's look for this one, fanny pack. Now let's turn it on. So what's doing, it's basically the same thing as before. It's sending an information. It's creating here, that's like normal, always an invalid L, because again, we need the information here. And as we can see from before, we haven't told the webhook that we also want to send the record ID. So now we have to update the webhook and basically give it also a record ID so that we can retrieve the information here, because now the record ID is missing. Let's just update quick the webhook and then come back with the information of the record ID. Now, again, like if you just create your product and you have your own flow that you are not changing all over time, then this step is not necessary. You can skip this step here and basically throw out Airtable and just do it via webhook. For me, I know I will change it later on. Therefore, I'll just need an Airtable record. So let me just update it quick. I just ask ChatGPT, take this script here and please just include a record ID. Let's just run it again here and test it. Here we have the record ID. This is perfect. Now we just have to connect the record ID. And what's happening now is, let's just do it one more time, because then we can understand what's happening. Let's just use existing data. Now we get all the information here basically from the entire table. So now when we have that in place, we can do updates quite simple. So we do not have to update the webhook and so on. Let's just update this one here again. So let's connect this one, the Airtable base with the title generator with the description. So we can take then the description here. And for now, we just choose from this Airtable base now the description, upload the image. The URL was not working. So now we can just use now the base itself instead of the webhook. Again, like that was maybe a short waste of time here, but nothing seriously. So then we take here the image. And now it should be fine. And the next thing we want to do is to copy the Airtable base. So just copied it again from this other base already and just connect it. And here we can then again replace the image URL. Here we go. And unfortunately, that's something which we have to do now for every webhook. So we have to get to Airtable and then create a new table inside of Airtable. Now all the records have been updated. For those who just want all the products to be published, actually there's something way easier that you can do. So you can just create one single webhook. Let's just do this example here. And then of course you can do either the Airtable if you need. So you can, for example, get the record. But then what you could then do is create a router and of course just copy each flow. So now you do not need to do the webhook for all, but instead you skip this part here where you select and trigger, but you just say, for example, you approve this product. If you like the image, you can just use the trigger here, I'm happy. But you skip the webhooks for all the single products. Of course, making everything easier. I could have done that, but I thought, okay, maybe I want this option just to select a couple of products. But if you want to save time, this is really what you can do. So let's just say I would take this one here as an example. I would like to generate all the product. You would need then to do once set this up here is to copy all of those, copy and paste them here inside, arrange that and connect. Now you have one tree, you go to the next and let's just say you want this one and you do the same thing. So you copy the entire sequence and now here you go, and just press align and here you go. So you have your tree and you can build that out basically with the other products. If you just want to look and check for one product and then distribute it to all the products, that's definitely times easier. Also the webhook itself, the automation itself is 10 times easier. But let's see which route we are going. Either I'll just copy all those and adjust, of course, here. Then we need to take the description from this but that's basically it. Everything else can be really easily adjusted. The advantage, of course, of just having one automation is that if there is an error, you can immediately fix that one. And if you want to change anything, of course, to change it like once in the big overview is also 10 times easier. But again, this is something which is not currently our workflow. So just for those who want to create all the images, let's just skip this one here. And now let's test the automation if everything's working. The only item I have not yet connected is the phone case, because it requires me to create a text, and I probably need to generate that with another automation, which is not the use case for now. I'll skip this part, leave it off, and let's test now the automation. Let's just use the last one here as an example. We have again like this image, but maybe you can just utilize another one. Let's see if we use this example here. Okay, like a random image. Let's try to use this one here, and then we can use that and test this basically with the automation of Pinterest. But before we do that, let's test this one out. So let's apply this image here, and now let's select all the products. The only product we do not want is the phone case, but let's go from there, select every item individually now. So those two phone cases, we leave them blank. Now let's see what's happening. So let's trigger this one and let's wait. You can also see how long it takes to generate basically those images. It should not take too long because again, we are not prompting. Here you can see already the first results. So based out of this image here, we have those products. Let's just change the view maybe to the gallery. You remember we had this image, and now we have created all those products with the connection actually already to our Wix store. So here inside, let's just go and hop in our Printify account here. And when we refresh this one, we can see here are all those products. This was the image that I selected. And let's go to the Wix store and go to the products. And here we go. We have all the products. Now the prices are not correct, and that's fine. We can adjust this. This is nothing fancy. You can just add the price in the automation. But as we can see here, we have all the images, we have the title, we have the description. So everything is even inside our Wix account. If you have a Shopify account, that's totally fine. It's the same process. You just have to connect that with your Printify account here. And if you have Etsy and whatsoever, the other accounts, or you want to publish those images also to Pinterest and connect them then to your Wix account, that's also possible. So this, I think, is working. Now let's go and check this with the Pinterest. We jump into another scenario. This is really simple. It can't be more simple than this one. So we connected here basically our account, and we limited it to 1 or 2 posts. Let's reduce this one even to 1, because if we send too many to our image analyzer, then it might get stuck. Let's do it 1, and then we can increase the schedule later on. And the only thing I have set here is a filter. So it's basically saying, if I'm the owner, then please do not send those images to Airtable, because we do not want to analyze the images that we have created. That's something we do not want. But if we just like this pin, then send this to Airtable. So how is it looking? Let's go here, add right split again, and then Pinterest. This is not a webhook. We have again like a timer, but in our case, we can use the run module for now. Later on, it will be, of course, automatically created. Here we have some great examples. Those images are really looking great. So let's just choose either this one's also, I really like those images here. Let's just do this one here. So what we need to do now is to save it into our mood board. Here we go. So now we have added that. Again, like that would be automatic, but in our case, we just run the module. So it's taking this one, and look, here you go. The image should supposed to be there. I'm not sure why it doesn't create a thumbnail, but it created the link. Let's just check the automation here. So inside, okay, because forgot to save this one. Let's just do it again so that we can also see the actual results here. As you can see now, it has been updated, but I forgot, unfortunately, to save that one. So here we just need to connect the image link, here media, image, and let's just take this resolution here. We do not need the original image, maybe they are too big. And for the file name, let's just use the title itself. That should be fine enough, but let's create another image as example. Let's just use this one here. Then let's save it again and let's run the module. And here we go. Now it has worked. So let's just save it this time. Now what we have to do, again, like that's something that will be then automatically, is that we go here and let's go into our new product space. Let's see what we have created. So this was the reference with the lines. I think that was this one here. And our prompt was to create an artist similar to this image, but include also some skyline. Now this here is then the image that has been created. So this was the reference. This is the new image. Let's see the product. And let's say I'm fine with the product. We have the skyline. This is our theme. We have the artist. And let's just say I'm fine with it, or let's wait for the other product to arrive. It should be there anytime soon. So here we have the other product. We have the prompt and that has been sent already. Let's just wait for the other product first, but we could already prepare here the other products for this product. Let's go and connect this with the product. So again, like maybe that step could be also completely, or we should really just approve every product instead of selecting. I think that's way easier. It's still taking time. So let's just send this one and test at least this image already. And let's see if the webhooks are working. And here we go. We have our new products. We have the t-shirts, the pants, the notebook. This is looking great. And here we go. We have our new product. I don't know why it took that long, but here it is. So this was the original. And now we have the image with the artist again and the skyline. So that will be, of course, updated because, again, we want to integrate the creation based on the lyrics of the artists. But I think until here, it should be quite clear. So this was then the new interpretation. This was the original image. I think it's fine enough. So I have tested this with the other images. Sometimes, as we can see, like here, for example, I'll just show you two images. I have tested this one before. And here we can see that in the mood board, I selected, I'll just go here to, for example, the original I selected, and this was the new interpretation. And then I did it again to just see, okay, how good is like the interpretation. Here we have the different kind of interpretations. So here, another interpretation. This was the copy. This is the other interpretation. And then let's just look here. Again, like I've run it a couple of times to just see really how well is it doing. And actually, for me at least, it's doing really quite well. So we can see that even after running it multiple times with the same prompt, of course, we can see that the results are always not 100% close. That's not what we want, but close enough that is like running. Let's just go to the other base here. So here inside we can see the original image, this image here. So that was the original, and the interpretation of that wasn't that close as the image I've shown as the first example. Here, this was the interpretation basically. That was not that close. So then next step would be now to create the basis for the artists so that they can create prompts. And what I just noticed overall is like the more unusual the image, the more creative it is, the better the results. And we could even try, you know what, let's just try this one here. Let's see how it's performing on a really photorealistic image. Probably that's something I have to update the prompt with to understand, is it really photorealistic or is it more like 3D? Let's see how this is performing on this one before we end the first part here. So I saved this one. Let's just run it. Here it is, the image. So it sends it again here to the analyzer. Again, we are using the analyzer with the script, so we do not use make_conf for that. Here is the result, and then it's phrasing it, and then it's creating a new prompt. Here it is, the new prompt. Now it sends the image, but yeah, I'm really curious to see, because this here, I think it's a little bit complicated. I think the AI might struggle on this image, but let's see. Let's try this one as well. So let's save it and run again. Here we go. Those images have been created. Okay, the first one, let's see the result. Oh, that is completely off. Probably I would disapprove this one. I'm not sure how this was understood. The prompt was way too off here. And this one, I thought this one would be understood way easier. So we have to adjust the prompt a little bit so that the style is really more in focus instead of the skyline and the artist itself. Also, in terms of the artist, I think it was a misleading prompt here, because artist could mean also like this kind of artist, and that's not what we want. We want music artists, so we have to clarify it in the prompt. We had decent results, but also not so good results yet. So that's something we definitely need to improve on the next video, where we are really fine-tuning then the prompt with the input coming from the music artists. But so far it's working, and if we are not adjusting it, if we just use like really the image interpretation itself, I think the results would be really great, because the interpretation are actually really good. So when we look here, let's see how this image has been analyzed. So here everyone can just pause and read it on their own. So if you're interested and want to read this one, just pause the video and read the results on yourself. I think that's finally all now, and we can wrap up this video. See you on part 2.